Um,
You can
Lisa,
start
do you
now.
want me to introduce and kick it off or?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Hi everyone. It's really nice to have all you guys here. Welcome to Tasveer Open Mic Pride Edition. For those of you who are new, Tasveer Open Mic is organized by Tasveer, a Seattle-based nonprofit arts organization whose mission is to inspire social change through films, art, and storytelling. A few disclaimers from Tasveer as an organization about this event. This event is streaming live on our YouTube channel, and the recorded video will stay in its entirety on Tasveer's YouTube channel as a property of Tasveer. Tasveer will not be able to edit anyone up. Your image and video may be used on Tasveer's newsletter, social media to highlight the work. Tonight's performances might contain some explicit content, so if that type of stuff makes you uneasy, it might be a good idea to take a step away from the desk. Participants will be chosen in random order with the help of a randomizer. Each participant gets 7 minutes to perform, and the program will be up to 1 hour long. And we will have a randomizer that will choose who gets to perform. I would like to do a quick comedy bit that I wrote recently. Um, Yesterday or a few days ago, I did a tech show where we had to pitch an idea for a startup, and this is what I came up with. And I would like to narrate the same through a small spoken word poetry, or what I think is spoken word poetry. So, to start off, I want to talk about how technology causes me trauma. Do you know what trauma is? Trauma is a self checkout machine. Trauma is ripping a bag of grapes while the machine tells you, please place item in the bagging area. Trauma is hearing help is on the way for the 20th time as a store manager wonders if your parents dropped you as a baby. Trauma is going to therapy for 5 years and being arrested for indecent exposure in front of an ATM machine. Trauma is being bilingual immigrant and wanting to say bye to being lingual after Alexa calls your name as Ratatouille. Trauma is when chatbots are having trauma, but gas is still $6 a gallon. Trauma is when you deal with your manager's lack of boundaries just fine, but making an Instagram reel gives you a nervous breakdown. And so I pitched an app that I'm calling Luddite, where you want to talk to humans and not sentient chatbots. And so yeah, that was my pitch. I want to take a quick detour and talk about my love life. So me and my partner, we've been married for about 3 years now. I am Indian and she's Mexican, and we both believe that our one true God is chili, the spice. And so when we were getting married, my mom thought that I was marrying an idiot because she had never met my partner before. And she brought 10 jars of raw chili spice. And her mom thought that she was marrying an idiot, and she also brought 10 jars of raw chili. And when they both saw each other and the 20 jars of chili, they went like the Spider-Man meme, like, oh my God. And that was done and approved, and that was all the approval this marriage needed to succeed. So, to end off, I want to ask a question. If anyone who's here has parents who occasionally say problematic things, feel free to type out in the chat box. So, personally, I love my parents. They're great and they're learning each day, and I'm here for it. But every now and then, they'll slip up and they'll say something that they shouldn't be saying. And so I tried to reason with them. I tried to explain to them that, hey, you shouldn't be saying such things. But the thing is, they're Asian parents. They have decades of experience gaslighting me. So obviously, that strategy is not going to work. And then I asked myself, what is the one thing that's going to hurt them the most? What is something that they sacrificed everything for, that they never fail, to not talk about that they constantly remind me over and over again. And I realized it's me, it's my success. So I decided to self sabotage. Every time they say something problematic, I attacked my own bank account. For example, my parents will say, "What the hell are they them pronouns? It should just be he and her, he and she." And what I do is I open my laptop and I donate $500 to the Trevor Project. And they start crying, like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Is this what we sent you to Cornell for?" Or on a different occasion, they'll say, "It's the homeless people's fault that they're homeless. Who told them to buy so many avocado toasts outside?" And in that instant, I donate $2,000 to the nearest homeless shelter. Every once in a while, once in a decade, even, very rarely, but it still happens, they will say, "Why are you still watching cartoons?" After I have explained to them over and over again, it's anime, it is not cartoons. Don't call it cartoons. And in that moment, I'll open my bank account and put all my money in crypto, and I've just gone bankrupt. And I tell them, "I'm moving back home. I have no money left. This is the only way you're gonna learn not to say problematic things." Anyway, thank you guys. Ishita, do we want to use a randomizer?
Sure. I think Sahil wanted to go first because he had to leave early. So if he could go first, and then we'll hit the randomizer.
Go ahead, Sahil. Stage is yours.
Hi. So my piece is called Marry Tasveer. And okay, so I'll start. I can't go on like this. That's what you think, waiting for Godot. Samuel Beckett. What follows is a classic tale of swords. In it, I am the princess in the castle. I am Harry Potter stuck in the misery of his closet come bedroom. I am Ahab aboard the Pequod. However, the prince will never show. Hagrid will not surprise me on my 11th birthday, and I may never set sight on Moby Dick again. Because in this story, I will have to find my own way out of my misery. I will have to slay the dragon myself, and even then, it may not be enough. It was another sunny July day, July 19th, 2020. It was my 25th birthday. It was summertime, and yet there was an uneasiness present in the air. The air was moist that morning. All day, clouds weighted with rain sat and stirred in the distance, both a warning and a reminder of what was to come. 25 years, 9,125 days, 219,000 hours, 13,140,000 minutes, 788,400,000 seconds. And what did I have to show for it? Just a feeling that plagued every happy memory I had and further soiled the sad ones. I'm gay, and I like men. I hope to be married to one, with kids one day, and grandchildren too. For as long as I've thought of boys, romanticizing Jake Gyllenhaal in The Day After Tomorrow, Mark Ruffalo in 13 Going on 30, Jake Gyllenhaal again in Brokeback Mountain, Matt Bomer in The Normal Heart, and Jake Gyllenhaal once again in Love and Other Drugs. The fear that I would never be able to live out one of those fantasies never escaped my mind. I, the only son of two hardworking Indian parents who had immigrated to Canada for a better life for their children, couldn't possibly risk ruining their one shot at conquering the Western frontier. For years, I would hold on to the secret, burying it deeper and deeper. And then I would see a boy smile at me in the hallway. And just like that, the feelings, the thoughts, the secret would reemerge. They say slow death is the hardest, and a blow to the morale can't be healed with bandages or ointment. After 25 years of holding on to so much anger and sadness at the world, at God, at my family, and especially at myself for the stagnant position I'd chosen to embody, I wrote a letter to Mummy telling her that I was gay, and the reason I had cut myself regularly in grade school, or took up smoking cigarettes in high school, or drank myself into blackouts in college was all to escape the anxiety of what it might feel like to be myself for 1 second longer. I wrote the letter, sealed it, put it in the mother in the house, and went on my daily run. Throughout my run, I focused only on my breath, that one foot needed to follow the other, that if I just ran a little bit harder, pushed myself more, I could get out of the city, out of this house, out of this closet. I listened to the words of Rihanna, Beyonce, Nicki, Britney, Alanis, Christina, Kelly, Cardi, and Sweetie, my patron saints, to give me courage, to give me strength as I braced myself for to brace myself for everything that would come, everything I had read out or seen in movies, articles, on the news of queer kids being thrown out, attacked, killed by their loved ones in shame. As I ran harder and faster, I was met with the people I used to be. The 5-year-old who loved his sister's Barbies more than she did. The 9-year-old who tried so hard to play with the boys, but could never kick the ball hard enough. The 12-year-old who turned to cutting because it was the one thing he could get right after failing to stand straighter, talk slower, and not move his hands around so much. The 16-year-old emerged with self-hatred. The 20-year-old, intoxicated, spewing words bullies growing up would be so proud he held on to. In between, I also ran into other familiar faces, the many boys of my summer, the boy who bagged my groceries, whose hand grazed mine as he handed me my bags, the boy who was my partner in gym class, whose breath would hit the back of my neck as he told me I had just one more push-up left, the boy who sat in front of me in English class, who'd always meet my eyes with the kindest smile, and the boy who taught me how to play the guitar, taking my hands into his. It is these boys, these moments long gone, never explored, stories that never got their middle or end, that cause me to be nostalgic. Nostalgic for a love that hasn't happened, a life that I haven't lived, a home that I haven't yet made, a place that I haven't yet found, and a person that I haven't become. But no matter the amount of noise, silence has its way of creeping in. I ran as hard as I could, and suddenly all I could hear was the sound of my own breath, or lack thereof. As I inched closer and closer to home, the steps became heavier and harder to take. I stopped because I couldn't run any longer. I had to face the noise. I looked at my phone. Cheers by Rihanna was playing. Underneath, 9 texts, 8 from my sister telling me that it was okay and that mommy was crying and laughing and dancing, asking where I was. The 9th text was from mommy. Come home. I will always love you. No more running. I didn't get to run home. Mommy and Danya came to pick me up. They just couldn't wait. I got in the back of the car. Mommy put her hand back and took mine in hers. Danya reached out for my other. My tears became synonymous with the beads of sweat. Danya's playlist played faintly. Donny Hathaway began to sing. The road is long with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where. Who knows where, but I'm strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. And for the first time, as Danya fidgeted with the rearview mirror, I caught a glimpse of myself. And I wish this was the end, where music would carry us onto a sunset. And in that moment, I won't lie, it surely felt that it was headed in that direction. And maybe it did. I thought that was just the beginning of a new relationship with her, where she'd really tell me stuff, where I'd say what I was feeling. But maybe it was never really like that again. Maybe that was it. We'd come home to one of the best tasting birthday cakes, genuine laughter, and mommy and I would stick to the leather sofa and talk our hearts out. But she would also remind me that I shouldn't tell my family and friends just yet, because they would judge me. And just like that, that moment would end. New boundaries would be set, walls would be built, and suddenly the uncertainty of the future would come back. The thing they always remember to leave out from books or movies or It Gets Better videos is that sometimes the hardest day is the one after, with yourself. July 20th, the 21st, the 22nd. I would come to feel shame and guilt for the person I've always been. I would continue to try and control my posture, to clear my search history, tilt my phone away as I pondered over the picture of Jake Gyllenhaal for a second too long. And although I had come out, I would continue to exhaust myself in search for answers that had not yet been revealed. And it was these emotional come physical reflexes, the aftermath, not amongst others, but within myself, I wasn't prepared to handle. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahil. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Just amazing. Yeah. You made me cry.
I'm sorry.
I would like to take a second and just get everyone's permission again to record and live stream. By staying in the call, you're agreeing to being recorded and being on the live stream. So, yep. I think next up we have Anuradha. Anuradha, yep. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. I have a poem I'm reading. It's very hard to top the other two. They were so heartwarming. I'm a pride mom. Pride is precious. Pride started as a riot beyond grim statistics of minority stress, marginalization, self-harm, and suicide. Happy Pride. Pride is a protest and a celebration always. Reclaim once again what once was a slur, and out or not, be proud to be queer. As for me, pride meant to me something I didn't much think about, an abstract concept, till an 11-year-old came out. Through their tears, I felt indignation for everyone hiding, besieged by their fears. 9 in 10 LGBTQ kids are bullied at school. A South Asian kid comes home to a South Asian family, generally, who understand any racism. An LGBTQ kid, oft isolated, oppressed, oft abused, or rendered homeless, who can they go to really? That is all I can say about intersectionality. I've pledged to erase hate. Through the years, we've encountered acceptance and homophobia, sadness and glee. I'll fight for my child every day. I know I'm on the right side of history. Not just my child, but everyone out there, their right to exist and to be, their right to love, their right to be equal, their right to be out, proud, and free. Happy Pride.
What? Thank you. That was amazing. Wow. I wish that all moms shared the same strong feelings that you do. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing how you've supported your child and how you feel so strongly. It's very apparent that you've taken the time to research and learn everything and educate yourself. And that's more than any kid can ask for. And I feel like you're doing amazing for your kid. Ishita, can we use a randomizer to pick
Yeah.
who goes next? Yeah.
Okay, I'll share my screen. And caught.
Okay, I was this close to doing a rap battle between the two people who are on the border to decide who gets to go. But you guys have been saved. And Kaushik, the stage is yours.
Kaushik?
Am I up?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I am going to just read. Wait. I've got like tons of things here. So I'm going to read some poems and I'll. Sorry, I didn't shave. I look like horrible. So anyway, here. So these are poems I wrote when I was unclear Unclear means that I began to start coming out. I should give you just a little history so that you are not without context. So I'm from Kolkata. I am much older than all of you that I can see. And I was one of the first men out in Seattle in 1993. And when I was in 1993 over here and trying to figure out, because I used to date women, I had loved two men before and also a woman. I had a great relationship with a woman. And I wanted to be in a socially comfortable relationship with a woman. The relationship could have worked, it didn't work out. And that's a long story, but basically I knew, and I told her that I had loved two men before, but I was in my early 20s and I was not clear. And so I was trying to figure out what it was. And she said, "Oh, no, you're not gay. The sex is great." And I know I'm not supposed to mention all of these things, but yeah, it was just basically how it was. It was just basically completely, the idea of gender was completely sexualized at a time in the 1980s and 1990s where the heteronormative ideas were completely dominant. And so I decided that I needed to explore and figure out what it is that I am actually a part of in systemically. And so I began to explore that, and it is from that the poems came. So that's a long story, so it's not worth going into at this time because there are other people who need to speak. So I'll just read you the poems that came from that. This is a short poem, and I'll read two or three quickly. Wednesday delights. After chasing a tail of brake lights that lumbered across the Cascades towards the fog of Elliott Bay, and the towering brightness of a desolate fall evening of downtown Seattle, the Negroni with a faint hint of lemon in the bar under my window in Seattle, served with the care of a glass of water, was the doorway from the old world I left in Ellensburg to the other world of falling asleep on a bed that delights us both, with Mark, deliciously in arms for a few brief moments, the warmth of our legs a common property, his eyes still as blue as I left them on Monday, making his long lashes a perfect frame, enough to make me relaxed into what is mysteriously familiar and not. And then this one is about a girl I loved, Rain. After 6 weeks of summer, Rain has arrived to make this geography her home. She's playing with me now, but bit by bit, she will turn my breath shallow. And when I cough, she'll smile. Slowly, gently, she'll spread her mantle like the Sienese Madonna over wider in invitation, spreading beyond the Puget Sound across the states and the continent, her cloak of protection from the sun. A pall across the land, hiding the sharp nails of winter, blowing my prana back at me in curls of microfog, challenging me to take another breath, to take another breath, make another move without her. I'll wish her gone. I'll mock her and curse her. And suddenly one day, when the sky turns a soft blue, announcing summer, she will leave with a promise that she will return, saying without saying that summer is but fleeting fancy. She will leave smiling, just like she does. And one last poem. It's called Alterations. Lilacs shatter, roses bloom, seasons incoherent are my dark room. Barking donkeys, braying dogs, separate voices, gossamer fogs. House full of grasshoppers, chatting with flies. Autumn is winter, winter is bright. She was a shy boy, and he was coy. Together they baked a barnacle of joy. That's it.
Awesome. That was amazing. I feel like there were a lot of themes in there that you were very subtle about, but it still came through. Very powerful.
Thank you.
Sev.
Sev, you're next.
Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna read a poem that I'm not a poet, but I'm gonna read a poem. So here it goes. I bump my head because I'm 8 feet tall and everything around me is a risk for pain. I bump my head and I try to decide if I'm okay or if the memory that comes up is safe to let in. I bump my head and run outside, crouch down between my car and yours, seeking refuge for what might come next. I bump my head and it feels like mom's slippers on my face, and I feel with this bump too, I deserved it. I bump my head and let myself cry and shake myself back to now, today, and here. I bump my head and I feel really stupid, but there's no room for shame and me between our two huge gay cars. I bump my head and you run out behind me, waiting for me at a distance to support myself through. I bump my head and I tell you to leave because I don't want you to see me. I don't want you seeing me feel stupid and afraid. I bump my head and you lay on my chest and tell me that the low ceiling was mean and that I deserved better. I bump my head and thank this lifetime for all the joys and pain because now it's led me here to heal next to you. That's it. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you.
That was really cute. Thank you, Sev. Okay, let's find out who's next.
Hey.
Fight, 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 fight. No. Saved again. Mariela, you're next.
Hello, this is actually my first Pride event, so I'm going to share two poems. They're a conversation. The Lion's Gaze. I, a water bearer, was watching you, a lion, drink from a lake. Your amber gaze awakened my sky and soul. Space swelled when our eyes met, exchange of glances, made mundane moments into thoughts of fondness, an untold goal between our glimpses. Yet fear of fangs you never showed kept me blind in the sun's rays. Before I knew, the lake grew. The view I had of you sank. My spilling jug widened our pond. Soon you were gone. To open doors you hastened. Missed chances and reveries are all I have of you to see. Sunrise is not a lion's mane. In my days, I forgot that sunlight is the past. A sunset is the day's goodbye, telling us time flies fast. There was a person, no lion. With coffee and milk for latte, I now would have greeted you with my embarrassing question. Would you have breakfast with me? Now you're a poem. Fate was late. We hear you, dear. I see your dar at this hour, when days blur into one, and the silence is too loud. No wonder nothing is done. Honey, you are lonely. I see it in your eyes. You do not want to die, having lived the ruse. Because what is a life when there is no one with you to behold the night sky, the muse of our existence? So you stay inside where ceilings cover stars, your, your room, a makeshift tomb. Open your door, darling. It's us again, your family. To mingle with us is lame. We're not what you're waiting for. Yet, we're here first thing in the morning. The sun may not twinkle, but it shines all the same. Thank you.
Woohoo! Thank you. That was awesome.
Who's it gonna be?
Harsh,
Yay, Harsh.
you're up.
Okay. Um, this is nothing too specific, but it's take on love and separation, which is a lot of my work apparently. Just like love can't be defined, it cannot be measured as well. And neither can the pain be when the separation happens. Maybe that's why neither did we ask how much we loved each other, and nor do we ask now how much pain we are in. There is no measurement of it. Neither the love nor the pain can be poured in a vessel to be quantified and recorded for examination and validation. And the separation? It is always mechanical, where we convince ourselves that we have unloved someone, that there are no regrets and there are no demands, that we wish the best for each other now, and that is it. If it was love, the undefined, the unmeasured love, separation is merely a state of mind. It's the part of the maze where you end up again and again while finding your way out, thinking you have moved on. But there you are, stuck right at the point where you can't decide if you moved on or if you ever will. Or perhaps this whole concept of moving on is just a construct and absurd. You knew this would work, and hence you push him hard away. Find reasons to hit the nail harder so that he could bleed, obliviate from his life so that he moves on, being hopeless and empty, which would translate to anguish that can act as the fuel for him to move. And then you touch the subject back subtly, like dipping your feet in a brook to figure out how cold it is. It feels lukewarm, and you
and you smile and decide to dive in. But as soon as you dive in, you realize how cold it is in the deeper part, freezing you to death, or a state where you gain infinite inertia so that you can't move an inch. You're right there, frozen, fooled by the lukewarm surface, blessed with sunshine to remain warm. It felt the same when he thanked me and said he can finally be the person who he is. His lips stretched to smile but stopped in between, realizing how the scheme worked well to push him, and he is someone who he is, but you are not. You don't even know who you are anymore, seeking a definition. And just like your love was undefined, you are undefined too, cringing and still convincing yourself that what he said is right. No regrets, no demands. Worse, there is no solution to it. All you can seek is closure. Keep yourself busy and wish, just like he defined love for you the first time, someone else would redefine it for you. But you won't ever be in love again, not in the same way, not with the same intensity, passion, and ember that burn your own self. That fire now rests dead in ashes, and so do you. Thank you.
That was very deep. A lot of pain and a lot of wisdom in that one. Thank you for sharing. Eddie, you're up.
Is Eddie there? Okay, I guess not. So I think Firuza, I think you're up next.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, Farah. So this piece does not have a title yet. I told my nanny about the woman I had a crush on out of duress. She already knew I was queer, but her default was still marry man. So she was trying to set me up with a man. In fact, a client of mine who I was telling her about as I described the healing and energy work I do with queer and trans folks of color. The other reason I was telling her about him, about my work, was because part of me still wanted to prove myself to her, to win her love and her approval. Look, Nani, this part of me said, yes, I got a divorce. I chose not to have children. I live in California by myself, away from my family in Canada, without a man's protection. But look, I'm thriving. As soon as Nani heard me mention this chokro, this boy, she pounced. What does he do? Does he live nearby? Why don't you have dinner together sometime? And I laughed. I said, Nani, are you doing rishtagiri? Are you trying to match me with this man who's my client and gay? And she laughed too. No, it's not that, but there's no harm in having dinner together, go on vacations, have a companion. And my heart went out to her. She's 96, born in Pakistan. This is how things were once upon a time. But here I was in Oakland, California, the most wonderful place to be a queer person and a queer person of color. And I was very settled in my identity. In fact, at that very moment, I sat on my favorite patch of grass near the lake, and on one side of me, a throuple had their limbs intertwined and looked slowly and lingeringly into each other's eyes. And on the other side of me, a bunch of hipsters sat on their mats with their homemade kombucha with a sprig of rosemary sticking out of their mason jars. And in the middle of all this, I shouted into my phone because Nani is also a little hard of hearing. But Nani, he's gay, I'm gay, everyone's gay. And that's when I realized I could actually end this runaway train with the truth. Nani, I've actually met someone wonderful. Do you want to hear about her? Now, Nani loves a good story, so she perked up. Acha, you met someone. Is she tall? I was like, Nani, that's kind of a weird question. Do you want to ask me another question? Gori che ke samri. Is she fair or dark? I was like, oh, Nani, no. Try again. Educated che. And I was like, Nani, these questions are getting more and more khatarnak, like more and more deadly. Come on, ask me a great question. And then finally she said, Sabhao sung che, like what's her nature? And I was like, oh, Nani, I would love to answer this question. And so I started to tell her how this woman that I had been falling for was kind and how much we laughed together and how she was a smiley. And so she spoke Gujarati just like we did. Oh, smiley che. They're very educated, very well off, she said, satisfied. But she really understands me, Nani, not like my ex-husband who never really got me. I'm happy for you, she said, and I know she meant it. When my Nana passed away, long before I came out to my family, my cousin betrayed his thoughts to me as we drove around doing funeral errands one day. And he said, you know, Fee, my son and I were on the bus one day and we saw two men and they kissed. And I told my son, and at this point I held my breath because it was a big moment and it was about to be foreshadowing. And he said, I told my son that you mustn't stare. What they're doing is not normal, but you mustn't stare. And in that moment, because my grandfather had just passed, I could not take on that situation. But it still told me what I needed to know. And it did cause a very sick feeling to my stomach. When I did tell my cousin that I was queer, he said, okay, well, if you've thought it through, then, you know, it must be the right decision for you. And I thought, well, I didn't ask you about this. And thank you for your showing your like chartered accountancy here with this very formal proclamation. And he followed it up with, Acha, just don't hit on my wife. And I didn't know what to do with that. And so at that moment, I went inward, shut down. So last year I moved back to Canada to be with my partner, and this relationship with my cousin, who I'd grown up with, who I had reenacted Hindi movies with and played cricket in our Nani's house with, did not really survive because I couldn't help but notice that I was never really invited over, not alone, not with my partner. And my cousin had bromanced my ex-husband so hard when he had visited us in California, because my ex-husband lived the American dream that my cousin clearly aspired to. Audi convertible, giant suburban house, Silicon Valley salary. Even then, I had felt so grossed out watching this bromance play out. And when I moved back to Canada, I also couldn't help notice that when I asked to hang out with my nephews, who I used to see every time I visited Canada, I started to get these excuses. Oh, the boys have soccer today. Oh, they have a haircut today. And I cried on the inside wondering which haircut lasts all day. During my divorce, Nani wrote me a 16-page letter. And then she phoned me in California and said, Fee, do not read this letter. Go to the sink and burn it and wash the ashes away, but please don't read it. And so I read it, of course. And it was extremely sad because in it, she basically outed all of the relationships that were really hard in our family. And she told me about all the hardships that my parents faced and my aunt and uncle and she herself with my Nana. And I think her point had been, all marriages are hard, so stay in yours. But in fact, she proved that my divorce was the exact right thing for me. Last month, my partner and I went to celebrate my Nani's 97th birthday. But Nani wanted to celebrate us, me and my wife. She wrapped a shawl around each of us. She put a bright red tili on our foreheads. And even with her frozen shoulders, she like flung some rice around us while I made my usual joke about, oh, Nani, who's gonna vacuum up this rice? She gave my wife a fat envelope stuffed with cash and a letter that she had dictated to my mom earlier that week because it's hard for her to see. I had left Pakistan at a very young age, but I recalled the one wedding I had seen of my youngest uncle, and I realized this is part of the marriage ceremony. My Nani was welcoming my partner into the family. I spent the first 35 years of my life trying to be the perfect brown girl, and it nearly killed me. With my divorce, I burned that list and I made my own. I began to live the life I wanted to live, the life I had to live. No more living for others. This allowed me to live from love for myself, and it allowed me to revel in my love for Nani and hers for me It allowed me to take in the love that some members of my family are able to show me and my wife, to mourn the relationships that I've lost, and to keep my promise never to lose myself ever again. Thank you.
Woo! That was so wholesome, so cute, so many twists and turns, and we're all absolutely in love with your Nani, and we all are dying to see a picture of you and your wife. Please share, or else. I'm joking. I'm joking. You know, I saw this. You guys know the new Buzz Lightyear movies are, and I'm only mentioning this because Fi talked about Oakland and the way conservatives are like hyping it up. They're all boycotting, by the way. They're like, oh my God, after watching this movie, all the kids are gonna go in an assembly line to Oakland and come out radicalized. You know, that's how they think Oakland works. But this was great. I'm so happy seeing everyone come out and share their stories and inspire each other. This makes my heart full. Thank you guys.
Rohini, I think Ed is here and he would like to share something.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Ed, if you're here, you can share.
Thank you. Thank you. I share because I care. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being over here and over there. All right. My name is Ed Potas. Hope you feel fantastic. Please give me time to enjoy my rhyme. For I feel sublime. I got one short piece and another piece. So it's going to rhyme. The first piece is called Love is Love. You should never hate. First of all, judge yourself. Everyone has their unique fate. Spread the love towards him or herself. Stop the one-sided minds debate. In every form, love is one in itself. Do you understand? I need to translate? Love whomever like nobody else. Happy Pride Month. All right. Thank you so much. And my other piece, this is called Crimson Arrow. It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you. But when we are apart, I feel it too. And no matter what I do, I feel the pain. With or without you. I remember playing a game with drunken roulette. Oh boy, it's quite the shame. Left me river of regret and debt. It ain't about that. This is about the lovers. I know we have each other. I know you hit each other with bolts of thunder. But remember, accept and nurture one another. Just make your days more luckier and sunnier. Can't forget about the widowers. I know you miss him or her. Maybe you feel their warmth or whispers. They want you to live and not suffer. Remember the frigid winters and warm summers. Keep them alive. You haven't lost your color. Don't stop the buffer. You haven't lost your luster. Can't forget about the singles. Trust me, I know love isn't easy. Sometimes too hot or too breezy. Sometimes your exes are two-faced and sleazy. Sometimes it can feel queasy and squeezy. Love yourself first. Easy P living squeezy. Love is not a word, but an action. Love heals and gives deep satisfaction. Love isn't a needy and greedy transaction. Love is empathetic and sympathetic attraction. Love is a big addition, not a huge subtraction. Love is a soothing and calming fraction. Love is a real interaction, not a careless distraction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ed, for your wonderful poems.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining. This was a great Pride edition, and I love seeing the diversity. I love seeing the stories. This is great. Please come back again next month. This is a great way to build community. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Guys, this is a good time to end.
It was fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night and have a great Pride weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Bye now. Have a good day and wonderful tomorrow.
Thank you.
Happy Pride. Thank you to Tasveer. Thank you to all the speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us celebrate Pride. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
It was just beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.